Not here. I see.
This is what I'm going to be focusing on today. My second to August.
No math. TV all time. New dad. Well.
That's showers.
Wait, what?
Stop, because Matt told me I could do that. Yes. Actually, I'm going to be controlled down.
I think principal today. Your birthday's right now. My class is live right now.
Okay.
Come on. Mind you, they can hear you. Okay.
Okay, hi.
What kind of picture are you looking for?
Trolls.
Which one? not sure if it's going to print properly.
Okay.
Let me try to make it bigger. That might be the best I can do. That's pretty good. We'll print that.
Hi. It's me.
Here. Say hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
What's your name?
No. You tell them what your name is.
My name is James.
Oh, there's your picture. Oh, one of them said hi back. Yeah. Oh, because there's a chat right there, and I can see what they're saying. Yeah. Would you like to say anything else? Tell them how many days until your birthday. It's a little delayed. You see that? Oh, my student says, guess what? What?
It's almost my birthday.
Well, almost your birthday, yeah. But there's 20 days until your birthday.
It's 20 days.
Yeah. And how old are you going to be?
6.
Okay. I helped my brother's friend the probability test for his college math. Oh, what was on the test? I'm going to give you this. There we go. And I'll see you in a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Thank you for being patient. They're shaking a little. What's the probability? Oh, that's easy stuff. That's like ridiculously easy stuff. Eh, whatever. He can think whatever he wants. So obviously it's the big stat day, and Katie's here. Oh, there's expected values as well, yeah. Expected values are not so bad. Who else is in the chat right now? And who else is going to click the like button and subscribe? Well, it does make me feel a little better. I mean, I did say it was easy. Well, easy stuff, but... And Paige is also here. What happened to the notification crew? Oh, there's Luke. So the thing is, I can't tell who is in the chat until they actually like participate in the chat, which is weird. Oh, there's a Maddie. You just had to make a channel? Oh, okay. Well, technically, you have an account, a Gmail account with your school. Oh, so you can chat. Yeah, that's probably a good one. Oh, there's a Priscilla. Let's see, participants 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. I put the. There we go. I'm just checking. I got an alert that I received. Yep, there it is. More notifications on my tweet from this morning. I gotta say, I tweeted out that picture of my son this morning, and within like 30 seconds, somebody had retweeted it. See if this works. There we go. See if that gets a better light. That works a little better. Okay. I'll give people just a minute or two. Oh, and there's Kyle, who's not in this class. Oh, Katie, don't feel upset over Kyle also being a moderator, only because for Algebra 2, I made him the lone moderator in that group as well. So, but he kept to Kyle's credit, he kept threatening people that he was going to time them out if they didn't like the video and subscribe and click the notification bell. Katie, you haven't done any of that. See? Can a moderator time out another moderator? I have no idea. R2D2. That's my mistake. Wait. Oh, you mean subscribed. Yeah. That's awesome. Anyway, we'll like I said, I was about to say we'll get started in a minute, and then I get distracted by Kyle. Yeah, we'll get started in a minute. I'll give you the procedures that we're going to run with today. I was just giving people an opportunity to jump in the live stream. I posted a reminder to the Google Classroom, and obviously they have that notification bell clicked. They would have gotten some kind of an alert, something to that effect. There we go. People are clicking that like button. That's what they should be doing. So, speaking of Star Wars, there we go. I just finished watching the Mandalorian, and I have to say, as somebody who hated episodes 1, 2, and 3, and hated episodes 7, 8, and 9, the most recent ones, the Mandalorian was pretty solid. I don't know if anyone else has watched that, but I would highly recommend it. I thought so. It's very hard to get across good acting with a helmet on the entire time. All right, let me check one more thing, and then I'm going to give you guys the link that you need to go to. Can I copy that? Visual settings. Okay, save changes. Okay. I'm going to type something into the chat right now. Okay. Ooh, that's too many R's. Let's see if this works. Boom. I just posted a link to the polling thing that I used previously. Okay. As soon as I display a poll, will update this area and give you voting options. Good. So you can't do anything yet with that particular page unless I gave you the option to do so. All right, so again, I'm just trying to test this out. I want to make sure that it works. Everyone should go to that link right now, pollev.com/JamesMarkey600. I was frozen for a bit. Yep, I was stuck. Now you can see my head. Now you can see what you're supposed to see. Oh, wow. That was scary for a second. I'm back. I don't know how that happened. That was so weird. Okay. Let's try this again then. So, in the chat, I put the link to the poll. I just want to test this out to make sure that it works. Because I want to get the responses. I want to see what the heck is going on. So, go to that link. You should see a choice of A, B, C, D, E. Everybody pick your favorite letter. Just pick your favorite letter for now. And we'll kind of see how this goes. Everybody in the chat, pick your favorite letter. Oh, you gotta focus. When I click it, it brings me to your channel. My channel? Thepoll.com/JamesMarkey600. Like my YouTube channel? Why would it do that? Okay, well, I do have 6 responses so far. Yeah, Control C, Control V, copy and paste it. That is so weird. Why would it do that? Yeah. No. Don't say that. That's not nice about yourself. See many responses. I got 7 responses so far. Yeah, or you can go to poll.com or pollev.com and write in JamesMarkey600. It's the easiest way for me to get instant results just to see what you guys picked. Why is everyone's favorite letter A? No, it's not everybody. It's most people. Click that. Show responses? Yeah, I still only have 7 responses. I typed in, I got it, I typed in the link. Okay, whichever works. I'm going to have to let me do it again just for people who are coming in. This is where we're at. You got to go to this website right here. For those who may not have seen that before, that's where you got to go to put in your results. Now, obviously, you won't be able to see the instant results. Why would this thing focus? It needs something to focus on. Let me put something there for it to focus on. Well, I put R2-D2, but that didn't work. Focus on R2-D2. You can focus right there. It's kind of focusing. Not exactly. We'll figure it out. Anyway, so I can clear the responses, and then all your responses go away, and then I can do another question. So it's basically the kind of setup I'm going to do today. Again, I got a ton of questions here that I would like to review with you. Now, if you have your graphing calculators, by all means, use those graphing calculators. I gotta zoom back out. Zoom back out of R2-D2. Zoom back out of R2-D2. There we go, much better. No! That hurt my head. Okay. Go away, R2-D2. Boom. Okay. Sorry, I'm a little disheveled today. It has been quite the morning. to say the least. Anyway, so some of these questions you may remember. So these are all like confidence intervals, hypothesis testing type problems. A lot of these we may have done before, but we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to throw the first question on here. Now keep in mind, any question that we do go over, if you have a question in regards to it, please throw it into the chat. I will be able to answer in real time, in words and in whatever links I can kind of find on the fly. But let's start with something like this. I'm going to zoom in a moment. Come on, problem. There we go. Move that over just a little bit. There we go. So that's my first problem. In a random sample of 1,250 adult drivers, 450 said that they would cut their driving by 10% if this significantly helped the environment. Find a 95% confidence interval estimate of the proportion of adult drivers who are willing to cut their driving by 10% to help the environment. Now again, this is a problem that we have seen before. But you, without a formula sheet, let's say, without much help whatsoever, can you potentially figure out what the answer is supposed to be. Go to that polling website, I should say, and see what you're going to type in. And once I get an appropriate number of responses, I'll kind of reveal what that was supposed to be. There we go. Of course, I can kind of give hints along the way, but eventually I'm going to lock the answer in. This is the reason why we need formulas, as I have reminded you time and time and time and time again. If you're waiting around for the next question or the answer to this question, please, by all means, go, message people and say, why are you not in Marky's live stream right now? Why are you not giving him the minutes viewed? Why are you not clicking that like and subscribe button? You silly people, you. Now, I only got 3 responses so far. I'm going to give you a little bit more time, obviously. Of course, you could change your answer up until the time that I lock it. But there are a few things on this problem that clearly don't make much of a difference. Just kind of giving you little hints as we go along. Obviously, the 0.36 doesn't change. The 1.96 doesn't change. The 1250 on the bottom of the fraction doesn't change. This entire problem hinges on what decimals go on top of the fraction and where that square root actually is. Going to give you another moment to kind of figure that out. Anybody playing Animal Crossing? If you're not playing Animal Crossing, you're missing out. Anyway, I got 8 responses. I'm going to lock it there in a moment unless I get another response, and a lock. Let me see what your responses are. Who is Kyle, and why does he have a branch? Oh no! I clicked the wrong button! I cleared your responses. Everybody click your responses back in real quick. Everybody click in your responses real quick. I accidentally clicked the clear response for some reason. I've told you, it's been a day. I haven't even finished my first cup of coffee. Now I have. Oh yeah, Maddie, you weren't here for that conversation. Yeah, I know. It's a scratcher. All right, lock, and then I'm going to show the responses. You just woke up? Come on. Anyway, ooh, okay. Out of all of you, 75% chose D, and 25% of you chose B. Okay, so you got 25% here, 75% here. Now, yes, the square root goes around the whole thing. The square root has to go around the whole thing, absolutely, because that is the standard error. That is the square root of p hat q hat over n. Ah, but then there's the key. It's p hat q hat. That 10% has nothing to do with the problem. The answer to this should have been D. You can see right there, p hat q hat, well, 1 minus p hat, but whatever, should have been the standard error of that particular problem. Morning with a bunch of flowers. Weird. It's not March anymore. Anyway. Now, I would suggest that you just kind of keep a little tally for yourself. Which ones you got right, which ones you got wrong. Not numbers, but like a little tally. Like, I got one right, I got one wrong. Stuff like that. Unlock. Clear. Next question. This is one that kind of tripped a few people up. In general, how does doubling the sample size change the confidence interval size? Now, I'm actually going to, where's my little notebook here? I'm going to write something for you while you're looking at that problem. Gotta find my marker. But when you think you have the answer to that, make sure you put that one into poll.ev/JamesMarkey600. In fact, I am going to paste it again. There it is. No, where'd you go? Click. There you go. Much better. Now, I'm actually, what I'm doing, I'm writing for you, and you can't see it just yet. I'll zoom out so I can show you. But what I'm showing you are the two basic z intervals that you could have. Actually, I'll even throw in the t interval as well, once I get there. There we go. So we got 3 responses so far. I'll give you guys a few more moments to kind of get your responses into pollev.com/JamesMarkey600. After I do this question a little bit, I'm not going to show the answer just yet. I'll show you what I wrote out, and then I'll tell you what the answer is. And then I want to talk a little bit about the AP test and the recent developments that have been going on there. I'll read you a few emails that I got. See, Katie, Kyle's doing your job for you. I got 5 responses to this one. I'm going to give you a few more moments. I won't lock it out just yet, but I am going to show you something before I lock it and figure out what the answers are. So I just wrote this out real quick. These are the 3 main intervals, confidence intervals, that you could potentially create. Oh, there's Griffin. The top one being the 1 proportion z interval. The middle one being the 1 proportion, I'm sorry, 1 proportion. 1 sample mean interval. Can't even think today. And this one being the 1 sample t interval. Obviously, there's a 2 sample one that you could potentially do as well. We'll deal with that another time. But these are the 3 basic ones. And regardless of which one that you do, the main thing you want to look at in terms of the sample size has to do with the standard error. And no matter which one you do, n is always in a square root, and it's always in the bottom of the fraction. And since that is the case, they're talking about in this problem, okay, well, what happens when you double the sample size? When you double that sample size, you're back in bed now? Oh, come on. Anyway, when you double that sample size. You're doubling the n value. You're doubling the n value. You're doubling the n value. And that 2, that doubling, is inside of that square root. So whichever way that you slice it, let's say you're slicing it here, that would be s over the square root of 2n, which is s over the square root of 2, the square root of n. That is what's happening to the margin of error. The margin of error is being cut down by 1 over the square root of 2. And if you typed in 1 over the square root of 2, I believe that would be 1.414. I'm going to lock your responses now. Lock. Let me see what y'all picked. B and D. I think this was the same issue that we had. This was a similar issue that we had when we did this problem in class. Some of you are saying it halves the interval size. Some of you are saying it divides the interval by 1.414. Well, because that 2 is underneath the square root, that's why that answer is D. You increase the sample size by a multiple of, well, 2. It divides that interval by the square root of 2, in this case. The answer is D. That's one that always tends to trip people up. That's a fun one. I'm gonna like it. So let me talk to you a little bit about the AP test. Let me bring up my email here. Bring up, yeah, I meant College Board. There we go. I got an email the other day from College Board asking me, as an educator, my opinion, and I know thousands of teachers were also being asked these questions as well as to how the AP test should be handled. When was this email sent out? I got this email 6 days ago. But basically, they're talking about flexible online testing and optional instruction to support schools and students. This year, for the AP test, traditional face-to-face exam administrations will be replaced with 45-minute online free response exams that students can take at home. In preparation, we've enabled the free response section of all practice exams available on AP Classroom to be taken remotely by students. Teachers can also continue to assign topic questions and personal progress checks as homework. Blah, 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 blah. AP test in bed, pretty much. The nuts and bolts of it, and by the way, me going through this multiple choice is helpful, because me going through this multiple choice is going to help solidify a lot of different information all at the same time. But unfortunately, according to that email, multiple choice is not going to be a part of this particular AP test this year. It's going to be free response. And free response is generally unbelievably tricky. And you better believe that with the free response that they're going to do this year, they're going to make sure that it's that much more difficult for students to cheat. Every year, they always write the test anew. They're always brand new questions. They never repeat questions. They never repeat questions in terms of like something that you've seen before, like something that I've assigned to you. But it's going to be 45 minutes, and that's, in my opinion, terrible. How the heck do you gauge a student's learning in 45 minutes of free response questions? Yeah. Wait, I think it's funny how a 4-hour watched test with illegal water bottles is a... Yeah. Yes. Exactly what Maddie just said. I mean, it's 3 hours, but still, your point still stands. It's not the same. It's not. And that's not fair, because your performance is based on how everyone else performs. If a certain percentage of the population score better than you, It doesn't matter how good you do. If over 60% score better than you, you're in the failing end, you know? You could try to hire me. I would probably get fired. Or I would just take your money and then turn you in. Good question. I don't know. It said 45 minutes. Who knows what that would be? Maybe it's actually 2 short response and then 1 extended response. Who the heck knows? But we have to be ready for anything. Now, I'm still doing multiple choice questions with you, and I knew that going into today, and I knew I wanted to have this conversation with those that were here. I'm still doing multiple choice questions with you for a few reasons. Number one, obviously, I'm going to have to assess you on various things, and it's a lot easier to assess you on multiple choice questions when things count. But at the same time, it's like the wording in these questions go a long way towards helping you get those free response questions done. And I do have free response questions in this box of cards. Yeah. No, Maddie, you're 100% right. You could literally just use your notes if you wanted to. I agree. I think that this is a ridiculous situation that we're in. But nothing kind of... They're trying to do the best that they can. They realize that... Yes. And you will be glad that you took notes in my class. Exactly. Oh, man. You will be so glad that you took notes in my class. Oh, man. Can we all just... Can we all just have a moment of silence for Jacob Reinhold, who decided a long time ago that he would stop taking notes? Just... Oh no, Luke, you left yours in school. Oh man. Yes, that is on him. I tell you what though, hold on. Let me see if I still have it. Okay. You guys are in a little bit of luck. You see this? This. I took them all before I left my classroom. I took them all. I took all of the notes that I had in that binder. You could see it right there from September. I mean, this is actually only up through the end of the second marking period. Then I have the rest in a different clip, but I have it all. I have it all. I hope. But we'll figure this out. Now, Maddie, obviously, again, like that's a good point. Can we all... No, Katie, she means on like a live stream or something like that. Can we all just hang out and take it together? I guarantee you people are going to do that. Like, there are so many holes in this. Whatever. It is what it is. Activate. Yeah. I know. Let's just do another question, and then we'll go back to this discussion. Here we go. I got another question for you. Paste. Just want to know who thought this was a good idea. I mean, I'm chilling, but like... Boop. There's the link that you got to enter in your answer. Here's the question. At the right is a computer output for a regression analysis involving starting salary, and it is measured in thousands of dollars and college GPA. So a regression analysis involving starting salary and college GPA. 2 things. See my fingers? There we go. 2 things. Boom, boom. Anyway, what is the equation for the least squares regression line? I put the link in the chat. Take a moment, look that over, see if you can't figure out what the answer is supposed to be. Now, in terms of all of the loopholes that you guys are talking about, there's supposed to be a meeting. Oh, it's locked? You're locked. There we go. It's unlocked. Sorry about that. Thank you for telling me. But there's supposed to be a virtual meeting. The college board is running tomorrow night, and the results of that meeting are going to be announced and sent out on Friday, and they're going to address, hopefully, some of those loopholes that you guys just described. We'll see. Oh, you can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I can see it on my camera. Is there a way, Maddie, to increase the quality on your computer or whatever the heck it is that you are viewing this on? Oh. Well, full screen may or may not help. That's a good point. Like if you do under settings, you can pick quality, and you can pick like 720p or 480p if you want, or something like that. Like right now, my quality is terrible. Boom. Oh yeah, but if you pick 720, heck yeah, look at that. Yeah, you can see that thing clear as day. I'll give you guys another minute or so to get your answers into the poll. I got 5 with 11 of you watching now. 6. There we go. It's moving up. I'm going to throw in a few free response questions here that I want to talk about in a little bit, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to lock this thing in a moment, and then we're going to talk about why this answer is the way that it is. While I'm waiting for the final few responses, can anybody tell me what my problem is with all 5 of these responses? What do you remember? What do I not like about these 5 responses? What's wrong with them? There you go. You couldn't type it fast enough. Yeah. It should be GPA hat, salary hat, GPA hat, salary hat, salary hat. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to lock it. If you haven't got your response in, it's your last chance, but I'm going to lock it. I'm going to look at your responses. Click. Click. Oh, wow. Okay, looks like most of you picked B, and then 1 of you or 2 of you picked A. Let's see what we got here. Now, looking right there, you have a constant, you have GPA. The variable for the constant is negative 0.73391. That is your y-intercept. That negative 0.73391 is your y-intercept, the constant. Whereas the number below it, the 11.8204 number, that is your slope. That is your slope. Notice that I'm not even pointing at any of the other numbers. The rest of the numbers mean nothing to me right now. GPA is the variable. Now, in this instance, this gives away a lot. This gives away a lot. There is an x variable and there is a y variable. There is an explanatory variable. There is a response variable. There is an input. There is an output. If you're talking about starting salary, versus college GPA, the rule of, not the rule of thumb, but common sense would tell you that, well, GPA is probably the input and starting salary is probably the output. Or your GPA can help predict what your starting salary is going to be. Because of that, as most of you did pick it, yes, B is indeed the answer. Absolutely. Nice job, mostly everybody. But that's what happens with this thing. Again, you have to have an explanatory variable. You have to have a response variable. In this case, GPA is that X variable. And there's your slope, 11.82 times X. There's the y-intercept. It should be salary hat. Nice job, me. What did I do? I did nothing. You wouldn't be on a computer? No, I'm not going to take away 5 points. I'm going to take away a gold star. And now how do I do that on the computer? Ooh, show custom emoji picker. Where's my gold star? Symbols? I can do a broken heart. Let's do a broken heart. There it is. That's what you get. Okay. Let's look at something a little bit different here. There they are. I have in this box a bunch of free response questions. I would prefer to pick them at random, but obviously some of this information we haven't gone over just yet. So not that one just yet. We'll come back to that one. Nope, same deal. I want to pick one that has to do with you know what? Let's do that one. Yes. Let's do this one. Stick with linear regression for a little bit. This one you can't answer in a poll. This one you cannot answer in a poll, ladies and gentlemen. This one, I want you to think about, write some things down if you have to, and then I'm going to talk about what the answer should be to this particular problem. But here's what we got. This is a free response question. You can't do this in the poll. We'll come back to the poll in a little bit. A simple random sample of apartment listings in a large northeastern city comparing monthly rent versus size yields the following computer output. I wanted to deal with this since this was just the topic that we dealt with. Let me scoot this over a little bit. You can see this a little bit better. There we go. A. Is a linear model appropriate for these data? Explain. And there's a lot that you can explain there, and we'll talk about that. Part B. Interpret the slope of the regression line. Interpreting meaning put it into context, of course. And then part C, interpret R squared in context. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to think about this, to jot some information down. I'm going to walk away and come back. If you have a question, definitely put it into the chat. And if I don't answer it, someone else may have the opportunity to answer it as well. But take a few moments, think about this problem. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. Oh, I should put that somewhere. There we go. So, let's talk about this. Usually there's always at least one main linear regression free response. There's always at least one of them, and it's fantastic, really. I do have another free response that I'm going to walk you through in a moment. But we'll deal with this one first. Is a linear model appropriate for these data? There are many things that you can say for part A. And I'm going to show you the back of the card in a little bit. I have not looked at the back of the card, obviously. It's all still there. But is a linear model appropriate? Well, first and foremost, both x and y variable are quantitative data. We're good there. The linear model looks quote unquote straight enough. There's that right there. The residual plot looks scattered enough. There's a point right there. There are many things you can say in regards to part A. Is a linear model appropriate for these data? For part B, interpret the slope of the regression line. The slope of the regression line, if I'm looking at this computer output, is 1.07707. That is the slope of the regression line. If you remember, slope is change of y over change of x. Since that is the case, I have to make sure in context that I talk about what my x and y variable is, or are. In this case, they're talking about comparing monthly rent versus the size yields. That's weird. Apartment listings, yeah, monthly rent. They basically have the size as the x variable. You can see that under the variable. They have size as the x variable. Not that. That. There we go. Size is the x variable, which means that size being the explanatory variable, the input, and monthly rent being the output, or the size of the apartment predicts the monthly rent, basically. Well, change of y over change of x, that would be money over square feet. 1.077 or 1.08 if you want to round it, 1.08 dollars per square foot. Oh yeah, $1.08 per square foot. For every increase in a square foot means an extra $1.08 in the monthly rent. Now for part B, I'm still on part B. The statement that I just said is not going to be accepted in full. The statement that I just said may only allow you to get a P. Because when you're talking about this, this is a prediction. This is a prediction. If you're going to say that statement about $1.08 per every square foot, you're going to have to say for every 1 square foot increase, there is a predicted $1.08 increase in rent, monthly rent. You would have to throw in that word predicted. Fluffy language. Then, part C, interpret the R squared. Now, just for the sake of argument right here, there are 2 R squareds that they give you. Never use the adjusted. Never use the adjusted. You use the adjusted one, they're going to immediately mark you down to a P. And then you better hope for the best. You better hope that you wrote out that R squared interpretation correctly. But 94.7%. We can say that 94.7% of the variation in monthly rent is accounted for or predicted by the linear model on square feet. I'll repeat that again, and I'll show you what the back of the card says, because the back of the card might say something slightly different. But you could say something along the lines of 94.7% of the variation in monthly rent is accounted for by the linear model on square feet. Let me just show you what the back of the card says, just so you can kind of see that. Boom. Part A, yes, the linear model is appropriate. The scatter plot is approximately linear, and there is no apparent pattern in the residual plot. Done and done. Part B, the slope of the regression line is 1.08, meaning that for each additional square foot in size, the average rise in rent is $1.08. Now, they say average rise in rent. I said predicted. technically they would accept both as the same thing. That would be perfectly acceptable. But you have to have that fluffy language in there. And when they say average rise, they're kind of giving themselves that wiggle room, that it's not precisely $1.08, but it could be something close to that on average. Part C, the coefficient of determination, which is R squared, 94.7%, meaning that 94.7% of the variation in rent is explained by variation in size. They wrote it out slightly differently than we did. I would say ours is better. I would say ours is definitely better. There we go. Let's jump to another free response question, because I'll jump back to the multiple choice in a little bit, but I want to do another free response question just because I think there's, in my opinion, very fun. Oh, that's a good one. That's a perfect one. Okay. Now, I'm not going to leave for this one. I am not going to leave for this one. I will be here for any clarification questions that you have. But I'm going to be right here for you. But you should take some time and see if you can answer this particular question. A University Recruiter claims that 60% of its basketball and football players graduate in 4 years. A reporter contacts a simple random sample of players from the past 20 years and find out that only 46 out of 88 had graduated in 4 years. Now, just for the sake of argument, that's only 52%. This reporter is finding that, well, in his random sample, there are less than the reported number. Interesting. Where am I? There I am. Is there sufficient evidence to write an article disputing the university claim? Give statistical justification for your conclusion. In the chat right now, what do you think you have to do in order to answer this question? What do you think you have to do in order to answer this question? Stuff. Kyle, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, a hypothesis test. Now, Maddie, I ask you a follow-up question. Which hypothesis test do you think you're going to aim for? And she doesn't have to be the only one to answer this. I need something more specific than z-test. Because there are multiple z-tests. If I go through my calculator right now, there are 1, 2, 3, at least 4 z-tests that I can look at. There it is. This seemingly, and it is, believe me, it is going to be a one-prop z-test. So, you, the viewer, I need you to take some time right now, take a few minutes. I need you to walk yourself through a hypothesis test. Write out the null and alternate hypotheses. Check your assumptions and conditions. Run the proper test with evidence. State an appropriate conclusion. I'm going to give you, you can write this down, you can sketch this out, you do whatever you got to do. I don't know what you're doing at home, that's up to you. But I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to kind of walk yourself through that. I'm going to ask a follow-up question that I'm hoping some people can respond in the chat with. But it's about the alternate hypothesis. The question: is there sufficient evidence to write an article disputing the university claim? What symbol are you going to use for your alternate hypothesis? What symbol are you going to use for your alternate hypothesis? Your ha. Don't be afraid to answer that question in the chat. I want to have a short discussion about that before I kind of go over. Katie, you're saying not equal to. Why? Sorry, I jumped all over you, but you were the first one that kind of did that, so I was like, yeah, why not? Because they never said 60% or more, they just said 60%. Okay. Anybody agree or disagree with Katie's take on that? Anyone agree or disagree with Katie's take on that? Why? Maddie says she was going to use less than, and Madison agrees. Wait, you agree with who? Katie or Maddie? I don't know who you're responding to. I'm not sure. I'm confused. Okay. Let's put it this way then. Let me go back to what Katie said. Katie said that if 78% do, it's still wrong. I guess because 52% is less. Well, that's not the reason. Maddie, you say you guess because 52% is less than. That's not the reason. Here's the reason. Going back to Katie's point about 78%. If the reporter found that 78% of a sample, what was the phrasing? Graduated in 4 years. What article is this reporter going to write about? Guess what? The university claim was wrong. Their actual graduation rate was better than 60%. A reporter is not going to write about that because no one really cares too much other than the university. But if a reporter is going to dispute the university claim, they're going to be looking for evidence that is worse than 60%. The context of the problem means that you are going to have to do less than. Not because 52%? Yeah, 52%. Not because 52% is less, but because this reporter is trying to dispute the university claim. And if the university claim is better than 60%, the university doesn't care. Nobody's going to care. They're going to be like, oh, good job. But if they're like, they're misreporting the information, it's actually less than what they actually said. Now the university has a pickle. I hate pickles. Anyway, let's walk you through this. Let me get a piece of paper. I'm going to zoom out. Let's see what we can do with this. There we go. So, states the hypotheses. The university claims 60%. The alternative, it's got to be less than. Yes, the problem never stated that, but you have to go to the context of the situation. The context of the situation is that the reporter is trying to dispute their claim. And if the percentage is actually better than 60%, that's not really a bad thing for the university. It's not whatsoever. You got to check your assumptions and your conditions. We eventually want to do a 1 proportion z-test. We eventually want to do that, yes. But first, we're going to have to go through a few things. First of all, n times p, which was what? 88 was the number of people that they 88 was the number of people that they surveyed. Now, because we're assuming a null hypothesis, we have to assume that the 60% claim is correct. And if you do the calculation, that should be approximately 52.8. And if you do the same thing for NQ, 88 times 0.40, this is approximately 35.2. Both are greater than 10. Expected successes, expected failures. 88 is less than 10% of... Now, who were they? I can say population, but I need context. There it is. Basketball, football, graduates. Oh, players, really. Yeah, players. Yeah. It's not necessarily graduates, but could be just players in general. Definitely, I would say that. I mean, because it's over the past 20 years, I would assume they're definitely less than 10% of however that they are. I would say that 88 is large enough sample. Do they say stuff about being random? A reporter contacts a simple random sample. Yep. SRS stated. And then graduation status, independent from player to player. Yeah, that's reasonable. So then I would run my 1 prop z test. I would write down exactly what I'm typing into this 1 prop z test. You can see that. There we go. I'm assuming 60%. They did what, 44 out of, no, 46. 46 out of 88. And I'm going to do less than. Let's see what happens. I'm going to draw it for funsies. Oh, I have something in my y equals key. I need to get rid of that. There we go. That's what happens when I do things for funsies. Should not do things for funsies. Ooh, interesting. Ooh, interesting. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. You get a p-value 0.0695. Now, this is important. This is very important. The problem never stated what alpha level to use. It never stated which alpha level to use. And yes, we do assume 0.05 if they don't tell us. But we can change that alpha level if we wanted to. There's a couple different things you can do here. You can say that you reject at the 10% level. At the 10% level. But you fail to reject at the 5% level. See, it really depends, because if you decide to raise that alpha level, of course, you know the consequences of that. If you raise that alpha level, you are lowering that beta level. But if you lower that beta level, you're raising your power. There's a weird balancing act going on here. For all intents and purposes, I would personally fail to reject. I would say that there's not enough evidence to reject the 60% claim. There's not enough. I mean, 0.0695, there's some evidence. It's kind of low, but it's not low enough. If I were going to write the conclusion to this particular problem, I would say Because the p-value is not less than 0.05, I would fail to reject the null hypothesis. There is not enough evidence to say that the 60% claim made by the university is wrong. There's not enough evidence. Sorry, I don't know if y'all can hear that. My son just started playing Animal Crossing. He just did. It was cool. It was fun. Animal Crossing is a fun game. Let's see here. I want to do... Let's just do a couple more here. Oh my gosh. That's fun. Okay. This is a fun problem. This is a fun problem. I gotta zoom in on this one. No, there's too much zoom. There we go. Much better. Now, this one takes a bit. A high school student does each homework assignment in the order it is assigned. He calculates that 40% of the assignments take 1 hour to complete, 30% take 3 hours to complete, 25% take 4 hours, and 5% take 10 hours. This is an amazing problem. What is the average number of hours each homework assignment takes? And then they go into something with part B and say, let's focus on part A. What concept do you think you need to do in order to answer part A? Answer in the chat. What concept do you think you need to do in order to answer part A? Everyone's afraid to say it. There she is. See? I brought this up because you said you did that earlier. It is expected value. For part A, you do have to do a little bit of expected value. 40%, 30%, 25%, 5%, that adds up to 100%. If you were to do that calculation, I'm trying to get my calculator back out. If you were to do that calculation, can you all see? You can all see that. Well, actually, no. Then you can't see the card then. You have to pull it out of the way. Focus. Focus. Too much zoom. There we go. That's pretty good. If you were to do that calculation, it would be something along the lines of this. And again, well, yeah, I'm going to do that anyway. So, boom. 2.8 hours. Just expected value. I love it. I love it so much. But now, let's look at part B. And, well, yeah, part B by itself. This is going back to the beginning of the year. The student guesses that the professors must be in collusion because, I'm going to scoot that over a little bit, it's a little bit of a glare. Because he always has at least 20 hours weekly worth of assignments. But as soon as an assignment puts him at or over 20 hours, he receives no more assignments that week. Explain how you would use simulation with a random number table to estimate the distribution of the number of hours of homework the student receives weekly. Now, this goes back to literally the first month of the school year, where you have to describe some kind of simulation using proper terminology. And you can see what they want you to do. They want you to use a random number table. Now, you're dealing with 40%, 30%, 25%, and 5%. Let me just write down a sample response that you could potentially have for this. A sample response that you could potentially have for this. Now, this is not the only way to do this particular problem. It is not. but it is one way of doing the problem. You have, now just as a note for myself, you have a 40%, a 30%, a 25%, and a 5%. That adds up to 100%. Now, because of this, it looks like we may have to do 2 digits at a time. Taking 2 digits at a time, you could say 0 to 00 to 39 represent 1 hour. You could say 40, it's going to be 30% here, to 69 represent 3 hours. You could say 70 to 94 represent 4 hours. And you could say 95 to 99. I believe that's 5%. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Represent 10 hours. Taking 2 digits at a time, you can let this representation happen, where you would go through a random number table 2 digits at a time, and basically you would go through the random number table until you totaled something at or greater than 20 hours, according to what he's saying. You'd have to keep a running count, obviously, but you would also have to have a stopping point. You would say it stops when the total reaches or exceeds 20 hours. And then there has to be a response variable. Note the total number of hours. Something along those lines. Because that's what he's trying to find out. He's trying to ask you to estimate the distribution of the number of hours of homework. Again, this goes back to September. Back when you all were young and innocent, and we all thought we were going to take this test in a classroom. Oh, how times have changed. How grizzled we've become. Anyway. Then they want you to run it. There we go. Then they want you to run it. I say, run 3 trials of your simulation using a random number table below. Give your results showing your procedure in action. And this is the one where I'm not going to write on my card, obviously. I can't write on the card. Pen. But this is the one where you would take like 2 digits at a time, and then like, this one would have been, I already forgot. No, that one would have been 3 hours, and then 83 would have put you at 4 hours. And then basically you would do the total until you reach 20 or more hours. I'll just show you what the back of the card looks like. Here's a sample response that you could have done. And then that's all they really wanted from this problem. I've very rarely seen this type of problem as a full free response question, but I've seen it as like one like subsection on the free response. Ugh. Anywho's it's. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. I've kept you guys for like an hour and 20 minutes. There we go. But obviously this live stream will be saved on my YouTube channel and whatnot. I hope that you all took the time to watch the lesson on t-testing. Zoom back out, zoom back out, zoom back out. It's not zooming back out to where I want it to. I eventually am going to have an assessment. I can't figure out right now at the moment what that assessment will take the form of. Again, I apologize for the camera. I hate this thing so much, but whatever. But I am going to figure out what form of an assessment this thing is going to do. I don't know. We'll figure that thing out as time goes on. Question, for those of you that are left. Question. When you do live streaming or meetings or live meetings with like other teachers, if you have to do like a meeting where you're on camera, is that more stressful than just being able to do a live chat like this? I've just always wondered, is it less stressful to do what we're doing now? It's about the same. Well, yeah. I'm just saying, because if you have to do like a live streaming with everyone, and then it's just like everyone's all like on camera at the same time, and I've seen so many memes about it. I don't know if either are stressful. Well, I'm just saying, like, because like people freak out over like what's in the background and what if I have to walk out of the room, and like I've seen so many memes online and so many like fun videos making fun of it. It's just rather humorous to me. Ah, there we go. Anywho's, it's I'm going to have I'm probably gonna make a video about this. I don't know if I'm gonna do a live stream about it or not, but I am gonna have an. Well, I probably will do. It's easier to do a live stream. It just uploads automatically to YouTube. But I'll probably have another live stream lesson in regards to AP Stats soon. Which obviously that information will be made available to you after the fact. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm a sign off now. But yeah, it's been fun. See you guys soon.